Welcome back, everybody. Wow, that seems really off. Hold on 1 second. Nope, it isn't. Okay, whatever. Hi, no editing happening. Today I'm going to explain how I trim these wonderful little jar jammers. So, yesterday for me, previous video for you, in order. Through these closed form one-piece lidded jars, carve the little canal. If you haven't seen that video, head on back, check it out. And today, I'm going to be separating the lid from the base and then kind of trimming around there so it nests on, and then adding some little detail-y, zhuzhy things that I think look okay. So, Giffen grip is out. Putting the piece in the middle here and tightening it, and then what I'm going to do is just an old school crappy knife. In the previous video you saw, after I closed the form in and created the little channel here, I put a little pinhole just underneath this lip right here. I'm going to, with two hands here, use this knife to slowly separate the lid right underneath that lip from the base. Nice and slow. Make sure your left hand or your non-dominant hand is on the lid so it doesn't go flying off into the environment. So we're gonna set this aside for now, but actually, so check this out. Lid is good to go. That might have been too close, sorry about that. And base is good to go. I like all of this on the outside. I'm not going to trim away a lot of clay from the outside. I'll clean it up later as far as like some of the clay that's sort of rounded up. But for now, you do need to either kind of push this little canal in a little bit or trim a little bit of clay away. I'm going to do a little bit of both. And so just using whatever trimming tool you want and just taking just a tiny bit of clay away from this exterior wall, the canal, channel, whatever, and kind of fine-tuning it a little bit. I'm also gonna use my fingers to kind of soften these surfaces. And this little ridge where the lid's gonna sit, I do actually like kind of a little fold of clay over, and so I'm going to use this wooden tool. I'm actually pushing in a little bit to give that channel or that lip a little bit of an inward angle so it'll nest inside the lid. And then I'm going to use the bottom of this trimming tool to push down on this ledge and then roll it over a little bit, because I like a little bit of clay to kind of sit. Most of the glazes that I use, it'll sort of exaggerate that. It'll kind of, create some thinner and thicker spots and whatever. I think it just looks interesting. That's what I'm going for these days. And then here's the trick for trimming the lid. I'm going to put this lid upside down inside the base, and got pretty close to center there. But this is called tap centering. I'm not amazing at it. That worked. Okay, so apparently I'm pretty decent at it. So then when we pushed the clay in, it kind of left a little bit of a lip, and there's some excess clay here. So so in the previous video, I mentioned that sometimes you get S cracks on the underside of this lid, and hopefully you can kind of see, I'm gonna get it in there close, but right in the center here, you can actually see the twisted clay from when you close it in there. It's twisting clockwise, right? Yeah, clockwise. Getting this on here and having the wheel going counterclockwise, this is gonna serve two things. When I'm using my left hand to hold this down onto the base, the pressure is keeping the lid on the base so I can trim it, but it's also trying, I don't know that, again, I don't know this for sure, but I've had very little S cracks after doing this little technique. But I think that just by holding my finger there and the wheel going counterclockwise, the opposite of where the twist is, that it's taking some of that tension out of there so that when it dries, you don't get S cracks. You can kind of see in there, hopefully that shows up, that sort of little twist. So anyways, getting this back onto the base, getting it centered-ish, holding my left hand, holding the lid to the base there, and then I'm just going to take away a little bit of clay from the inside, not too much. I don't want these too thin. Again, these are meant to be used, they're meant to be functional. They do not need to be crazy thin, but I do need them to fit. So I just usually do a little bit at a time, like that. Test it out. I could probably use a little bit more off from the inside. I recommend trimming a little bit and then testing to see if it fits rather than just going all gung-ho. Too tight of a fit obviously is not ideal. I think what's worse is actually too loose of a fit. Yeah, it just kind of wobbles around and it doesn't really, it's not very satisfying when you actually put the lid onto the piece if it's just sitting there wobbling all over the place. So now I'm just kind of OCDing a little bit, just taking a little bit of time to soften this, get it to look sort of the way I want it to look. And then it should just nest right on there. Sometimes I'll even hold the lid on there and just let it spin, and it kind of feng shuis to fit a little bit too that way. It's a little bit of a tight fit, but I think I'm gonna take some clay away from this lip or this ledge right here, and that'll solve that real quick. Also, if you noticed, there we go. There's a pretty significant lip right here. I don't mind it, and I actually am gonna keep it. Sometimes I get real finicky about like trying to get these all to line up so you almost can't see the seam. On these, I like these to have a little bit more kind of separation, little levels. So I'm just gonna leave that one out there. And then I'm actually gonna trim the top of this a little bit to give it more of a kind of a defined little sort of handle type scenario on top. At this point, it is all just a matter of like what your style is, what your preference is. I've just been experimenting around with some different shapes and different looks of these things. I'm also going to do a little something at the end here with kind of a little rare designy element that I rarely do on a lot of my pots, but I think the reason I'm going to do it is it kind of gives an idea of like where this lid lines up to the base, and you'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. So again, just get the angles I like. I like leaving some tool marks in there. And here's another thing too. The outside of this, I kind of dig it, but it is a little thick. It's thicker than the rest of the walls. So I'm just gonna take the sharper angle on this tool. Actually, maybe not. Maybe I'll use the super sharp angle. And I'm just gonna trim a little bit of the clay away from the inside so that it's just, so it's not so bottom heavy. I don't wanna touch the textures and kind of tool marks that I've made on the outside. And no one's really gonna look too close to the inside. So again, you'll notice, take a little bit of clay away, stop, check the thickness, being real careful not to trim too far, and trim all the way through. Again, I sincerely appreciate y'all checking these out. If you have not done so already, down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this video. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future as far as other forms. If you try this out, these closed lid forms, let me know how it went for you. If I can get to it, I am always willing to help out and provide my little 2 cents insight. I think I've screwed up and botched plenty of these in the past, and so I've learned some lessons as far as kind of some tricky sticking points to this whole process, because this is pretty finicky. Again, try not to go too far. I'm going to use my finger on the inside to smooth out that wall a little bit so it's not all crusty and clunky from trimming. Smooth out the surfaces. Throwing the lid on there. All right, I kind of dig it. Stout little jar thing. I don't mind the little levels. I kind of like the little change of perspective on it. Some of them I line these up completely, some I don't, whatever. And actually, yeah, kind of dig it. Okay, so I like the idea. Hold on one second. Little maker's mark on there. Kind of roll it over the lip. I like the idea of putting little markings on the lid and the base to let you know where it lines up. And so what I've been doing lately is just carving weird little lines in 3 spots, or not carving, but just kind of scraping little lines in 3 spots, randomly-ish. And then adding just some little dot kind of things. Just some little, I don't know, artistic-y, whatever. It's about as artistic as I get. So, anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this. Like, share, subscribe, notifications, thing, all that jazz. Sincerely appreciate you all tuning in, per usual, and thank you. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful day, and please be awesome to each other. Thank you.